What's happening, gang? It's your boy Retro back again with another reaction video. Yeah. Today we got another huge update. I know you guys could probably already tell it is going down just by that title alone. We're seeing what looks to be like Fox News The 5 host Harold Ford Jr.'s last day on the set. Just seems like he is still fighting neck and neck with Jessica Tarloff for who is the most affected by that Trump derangement syndrome. And I'm going to say it looks like he takes the cake in this newest update, guys. I'm excited to check it out, see what's going on there. So I'm gonna hop straight into it. Make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Before we get into it, you guys hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button for your boy. And without further ado, let's jump into it, you guys.
Refs, you're losing. Well, if the refs are corrupt, you gotta complain because everybody lost. I actually got dumber watching it. I felt like my brain was being waterboarded by the sheer nonsense of these idiot moderators. But we were so sidetracked by the mechanics of the debate, the muted mics, that we forgot about them. I honestly don't know how anyone can decide who won the debate. That's like trying to guess the price of a painting that you suspect is a forgery. You can't objectively decide a winner in a sham competition. This is truly the first DEI debate, where one candidate was subjected to a high standard and the other was held to no standards at all. They removed the essence of fairness to achieve an outcome that could not be scored. You cannot score that. That is why you can't say who won or who lost. A liberal should be ashamed that your candidate needed the odds to be stocked so heavily in their favor. You know, for many Americans, Harris entered as a mystery and exited as a mystery, and that was the goal, to keep her under wraps. So anyone who attributes that to Kamala's skill is an idiot. Congratulating Kamala for the debate is stolen valor. You should be congratulating David Muir and Lindsey Davis, who did the heavy lifting. And so calling that a debate is disinformation. That's like me going into a bar with Tyrus and inciting a brawl and then later taking credit for all the broken jaws. You know, it's just, and by the way,
you can tell this is really, and this is what a lot of people's frustrations are, not even those just on the right at this point. It's all kinds of folks, even on the left, who are just disappointed with the turnout of that debate. I mean, it was just 3v1 the entire time. They were saying, you know, Kamala Harris did not lie but one time and Donald Trump lied. I've seen 33 plus times, guys. Kamala Harris lied after lie after. It was just like every single statement she made was a lie or trying to steal Donald Trump's policies. And that's always seeing that frustration coming from Greg Gutfeld right here. Listen to him, guys.
It's just, and by the way, you're going to say, oh, how do you know that it's a sham? Kamala confidently and casually unloaded all the hoaxes. The Fine People hoax, the bloodbath, Project 2025, the abortion ban. These things have all been debunked. Would she have done that knowing that there would be consequences? She did that knowing there would be no consequences, no follow-ups at all. This was actually a betrayal of knowledge, knowledge being the act of solving a problem. And we had agreed to what the problem was. Who is Kamala? The debate deliberately chose the opposite path. Instead of the opportunity to gain knowledge, they chose to cover it up and betray the public. You know, I went by this stupid assumption that maybe they would ask Kamala some real questions and follow-ups. I was tricked. I'm like the person who foolishly assumes a partner who cheated on him would not cheat again. But the media always cheats again. And we have to remind ourselves, they have their interests before your interests.
I was talking about
Greg Gutfeld absolutely comment, and that's why I can enjoy Greg Gutfeld on his takes, his perspectives. He's always going to call it exactly how he sees it. Definitely feels like we've been cheated or betrayed a little bit, even though we suspect that ABC couldn't play fair, guys. I mean, come on.
They have their interests before your interests.
I was talking to a friend today who reminded me of the phrase of Fred Astaire, or Ginger Rogers had to do everything backwards and in heels. That's Republicans.
Yeah, exactly.
And you always, but
don't I know it?
But and you know, when you wear those heels, it is really,
and backwards.
Really amazing.
I'm telling you.
I'm telling you. All right, Harold Ford Jr., do you disagree?
Yeah, I have a slightly different opinion on this. I think a couple.
Guys, I already knew he was going to come out. That's that Trump derangement syndrome. He's seen an entirely different debate than what we all sat in front of our television, screaming at our television watching, guys. Listen to this guy coming out to, I've seen an entirely different debate. Listen to him.
Junior, do you disagree?
Yeah, I have a slightly different opinion on this. I think a couple of things. It's good to be back around the table with everybody. First off, what I saw last night was a candidate with two candidates who each had to do. President Trump had to do one big thing. He had to stay disciplined on the issues, and I think he had a number of things to talk about, from border security to tariffs. I thought one of his more effective moments, because it was an uneven performance. I think it was frankly an uneven performance in skewing towards not a good performance on his part. Vice President Harris talked about tariffs, and then he said to her, "You kept my tariffs," and he didn't come back to it. It amazed me that the lack of preparation on his part. I thought when Joe Biden on June 27th, his team, he was unorganized and unprepared. Donald Trump struck me that way, too. I was on with Harris Faulkner yesterday on Brett's show, and she said that one of the things she was going to be looking for at the very beginning of the debate was who took the high road. I thought when she shook his hand and said her name, I thought those of us who followed this closely was something we watched. But I think the American people like that decorum, and it was a good.
Oh my goodness, guys. She came and shook his, guys, that was faker than a $4 bill. I mean, that's just common decency stuff. You walk on a debate stage, you shake someone, you walk in a room, you're going to shake someone's hand. Kamala Harris has admitted she's never met Donald Trump once before. Harold Ford Jr. trying to say that this was a lack thereof a performance from Donald Trump. I don't believe that's the case, guys. He was more than well prepared. He just wasn't prepared to be a full 3v1, and we could see exactly what was happening. I mean, they didn't even try to hide it. Come on now, Harold. You watched an entirely different debate.
Who followed this closely was something we watched. But I think the American people like that decorum, and it was a good thing for her to do it. 3, he just missed opportunities. It's almost like if you play the Kansas City Chiefs and you complain at the end of the game, they had Patrick Mahomes. Of course they have Patrick Mahomes. You've got to build a defense around him.
What? He's comparing this to say that they had the star players. I guess he's saying the star players, Patrick Mahomes, would have been the moderators, because that's who we're all complaining about. So you're saying that Donald Trump should have prepared for the moderators to be like Patrick Mahomes-esque in their skill level of covering up, not holding Kamala Harris accountable. This right here is just ridiculous, guys. Listen to the Trump derangement syndrome. I mean, this guy too far gone for saving. Like, listen to him.
They had Patrick Mahomes. Of course they have Patrick Mahomes. You've got to build a defense around him. And I thought that there were a lot of
the refs.
But even I tell my kids, Greg, in all seriousness, when you're complaining about the refs in a game,
you're losing.
You're not only losing,
just said that.
You're letting your team down. And if everybody believed, and Jesse and I talked about this last night, there's a belief, and I think there's some truth to it, that President Trump has to go up against the media in ways that certain candidates for president have never had to do.
No. Now, I like that Harold Ford Jr. is able to admit, now that's a different sign. Maybe that Trump derangement syndrome isn't too far gone for saving, because he can see that there is a tall task of the media that Donald Trump has to tackle every single time he goes out and makes a camera appearance. Like, listen to this.
Knowing that, you prepare for that. And he seemed to be just skillfully unprepared. He took every bait. He took every pump fake. It was like a great basketball player would get in foul trouble first 8 minutes of the game because they committed stupid fouls. He did that a lot, and he makes the point that he doesn't want us, that if you want a second debate, that means you're losing. Look, this race is super tight. 24 years in a row, you've had super tight presidential races. I don't think anything moved. But the question is, how many new voters might have been invited to vote? And she achieved one goal. She conveyed seriousness and calmness. She didn't talk about any issues. She didn't talk about the switching.
Okay, I'm glad that Harold's seen the same debate, because I'm going to say Kamala Harris' feet were not held to the fire on any of her flip-flops, any of her, her agenda, her policy, none of that, the lack thereof, her opaqueness in her campaign. Like, none of that was brought up. She didn't address it. All they did was try to make Donald Trump gaslight the people, lie to the people, make him look like something crazy, man. Like, come on, y'all. Come on. I'm glad he's seen that at least.
Oh, she conveyed seriousness and calmness. She didn't talk about any issues. She didn't talk about the switching of positions on issues. And hopefully at some point, the country deserves to hear. I agree with you wholeheartedly on that point, Greg. The country deserves to hear why she moved on border security, how she has moved on the economy, and where she differs with President Biden. Hopefully we get a second debate for those
Harold,
issues
that was
to
a
be heard.
lot of sports metaphors in one answer.
Pump fake.
So I was really impressed with the pump fake. Judge, one of the biggest issue for Americans is the economy. And in some assessments, that was the issue he did best on. And that was one of the first questions. So if people only watched those first 20 minutes, maybe they walked away with that.
Yeah, she was actually asked, if I recall correctly, the first question, we better off now, than we were. And she started all this aspirational, inspirational ambitions and this and that. She didn't answer any questions. I came away from this saying to myself, 30% of Americans don't know what Kamala Harris stands for. And they still don't know what she stands for. But what I came away with that knowing, and I agree with Greg, the voters lost last night. The voters lost for several reasons. And this segment is about the legacy media. To me, ABC didn't care about the truth. They were pushing libelous questions. The questions were like a push poll. Like you call someone up allegedly trying to find out what people are thinking. But, isn't it true that the rooster killed the duck or whatever? And, the person said, yeah, of course it's true. And that they would actually go to Charlottesville and ask that question as though that hasn't already been debunked. And she never had to answer anything. And the major networks sanctioned these lies as if they were truths. And that is how the network and the legacy media put the final nail in the coffin. Donald Trump told us about fake news. Last night was the end of the legacy media. And if I were ever to do a debate again, I would not do it on the legacy media. We were fooled by CNN. CNN just kind of sat there. But you know why? You know why it was level with CNN? Because CNN was complicit with the Dems. They wanted Joe Biden out. So it was a fair debate. This was, we got to take Kamala's side. We got to make like January 6th. Every time she lied, they would not fact check her. She says 140 police officers were injured and some died on January 6th. What police officer died on January 6th? Ashley Babbitt died on January 6th. And then they go on and on and on. And third term abortion. She wouldn't answer the question. They didn't push for an answer. And, I got to say one more thing. Who the hell do they think they are fact-checking? When David Muir says, I didn't get that, what was it, the impression on the whisker, won by a whisker? What was that term that he used? He said, I didn't interpret it that way. We're not asking you for your interpretation of what Donald Trump said. And finally, ABC News claimed that Trump was wrong when Trump said crime is going up. They said, no, crime is going down. They're wrong. They lied. And I'll tell you why. Because the FBI has made it clear that 30% of the police departments, including New York City and Los Angeles, did not respond to their request about crime. I have the stat right here. So they pushed lies. They defamed the president to push Kamala, who answered no question and was the queen of theatrics.
Go, Jesse, go.
There we have it, yo. Judge Jeanine, and this right here is why I'm able to get behind her on so many different positions, because Judge Jeanine is not going to leave it out, guys. If she's seen it, she's going to point it out. And ABC, as a network, ought to be ashamed of themselves. Judge Jeanine laying it out flawlessly right there. Oh my goodness. You see those notes? Holy cow.
Run, spot, run.
My favorite line. That's my favorite line of the night.
That was one of mine.
It was the first laugh. It might have been the only laugh.
I like the other one. Abdul. I said, Abdul, if there's a problem.
Maybe send the pictures of his house to him.
Yeah. All right, so Trump wasn't perfect, but Kamala didn't take advantage of it. Trump was emotional, he was undisciplined, but he still delivered powerful messages on the core issues that voters care about. Kamala Harris was very well prepared. She was very composed. But at the end of the debate, the voters had no idea what her policies are. So her whole strategy was to distract by mocking Donald Trump so she didn't have to talk about her record or her policies. She wasted a huge moment to be able to tell 67 million people what she stands for. All she did was say, don't vote for Trump instead of vote for me. The media loved it because they just like watching Trump get teased. But if you're an undecided voter, How did Kamala Harris explain what she's going to do to help you get a house or help you secure the border? She didn't do it. Trump missed a huge opportunity to define her. He said it a few times, but he could have been a lot more precise and beat that drum harder. He did tire to Biden. My favorite line was, what are you talking about? Go to D.C., wake Joe up at 4 in the afternoon, get him to close the border.
Yep.
That's all he needed to do. And the signature moments that you see on the internet after this, she didn't have any. She didn't have any. Trump had them all. And that's what's going to reverberate. She whiffed at the first question. And then just temperamentally, I found her evasive, found her unlikable, preachy, and instinctually, I don't know that's going to play with men because men are predominantly the undecided voters.
Oof.
What I loved about today was that they all got together at 9/11, and you know, only in America can you have a big knockdown, drag-out fight the night before, and then get together and do the remembrance and honoring of those victims today.
Yo, there we have it, guys. That was a special sight to see at Ground Zero. Everyone gathered in, but I heard Kamala Harris and Joe Biden ditched early, but I don't know. I might have to do a video on that. Don't quote me on it because it might have been a rumor, but guys, come on. That right there should show you the left is still stuck in this delusional state. They're trying to paint this picture to say that Donald Trump should have came a little bit more prepared. I mean, come on. How much more pathetic could they possibly be? I mean, this debate was the most stacked. All the cards were stacked against Donald Trump, and you guys still expect him to just pull the rabbit out of the hat and somehow stay together. No, of course I'm going to get emotional, you know, and show my emotion and my love for the country and the American people. When this lady is over here lying, putting out a bunch of bogus baloney, whatever, saying and doing whatever, and the moderators aren't fact checking her. She got fact checked 0 times, guys. I mean, come on, from the amount of hoaxes and just lies that she brought up. It's crazy to see that she didn't get fact checked, not even one time, guys. I mean, that right there should just go to show you this was a rigged debate. Honestly interested in seeing, you know, maybe working towards a second presidential debate versus Donald Trump, Kamala Harris. We're really interested to see the details on the when, the where, and what network that one would be hosted on, because, you know, Jesse brought up a very valid point to say that, you know, CNN had no business trying not to cover up from Joe Biden because they wanted him gone. But ABC, they love Kamala. They want her to win. So they had to do and go to the extreme measures in order to cover up, make her look like the best candidate, make Donald Trump look crazy. Guys, hop in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. I don't know if we could save Harold Ford Jr. That Trump derangement syndrome is just too far gone. I mean, hop in the comment section. Let me know solutions for what Fox News The 5 could do for Harold. Also, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you did enjoy more content like this, I'll catch you guys on the next week.